Okay, this is Lake Hemet. Big, beautiful Lake Hemet. There's a lot of fishermen out here today, and there's some motorboats out and about. It's crowded, which is no surprise because it's such a nice day. It's a nice day, nice warm December day, about 66 degrees. And there's a lot of people up here enjoying it. But yeah, this is a nice little lake. It's about, it's roughly 430 acres, I believe, when it's full. And it's not quite full. The water level isn't as high as it normally is, but it's still it's full enough. And, they stock the lake with rainbow trout, channel catfish, largemouth bass, perch, bluegill, crappie, and they've even started stocking the lake with lightning trout. They started maybe about 3 or 4 years ago stocking the lake with lightning trout, and I know the lightning trout are very popular up here. They're beautiful fish. And I believe they get the lightning trout from Northern California, somewhere up in Plumas County, I believe. I know they transport the fish from way up north somewhere, and then they, dump them in the lake. So I know the lightning trout are very popular here. But I remember fishing here as a kid, and I would always catch rainbow trout and bluegill. Always. Rarely would I catch a catfish or a bass, but most of the time it was bluegill, perch, and rainbow trout. And I had a lot of fun up here. Lake Hemet was just... Whenever I think of my most fondest childhood memories, they pretty much all revolve around Lake Hemet. We used to come up here camping all the time. I just turned 50, and we pretty much started coming up here camping when I was about 7 or 8. So Lake Hemet and I have a long history. And, this is probably my most favorite place to be in the whole world, without trying to sound overly syrupy. But it's because it's so beautiful up here and it's peaceful. And then all my childhood memories were up here, so whenever I think of Lake Hemet, I think of nothing but positive memories. And, being up here really puts me in a special, happy mindset. So, yeah, I've been wanting to come up here for a while. It's probably been over a year since we've been up here. And I just wanted to come up here with Brenda and shoot some video. Just to give you a little bit more background information, we are located in the San Jacinto Mountains in Southern California. We're it's about 2 hours east of LA, maybe a little over 2 hours. We're located at 4,340 feet here at the lake level. And the lake itself is located in Garner Valley, which is the valley that you see pretty much right in the end there. It's a long, broad valley right in the middle of the San Jacinto Mountains, and it's flanked by those large mountains in the background. And then basically Palm Desert and Palm Springs would be over those ridges in the back. So they call Highway 74 Palms to Pines Highway. So, you're up in the mountains, you're in the pines, and then if you take Highway 74 all the way down, it takes you into the desert, so down to where the palm trees are. So palms to pines, or pines to palms, however you want to say it. And the little town of Idlewild is about 8 miles from here. That's another little beautiful mountain town, and that's one of my favorite locations as well, because every time we'd come up here camping, we'd always go up to Idlewild at least once, to go either eat breakfast or eat lunch, or just to go over and walk around. And yeah, they also have a bald eagle population up here, believe it or not. There's like 3 or 4 resident bald eagles that make their home up here in Lake Hemet. And they have cameras set up to where you can actually log in and get a view of the beagles. Get a view of the eagles depending on where they are and depending on the season. So, it's a nice little area up here. Besides camping, there's fishing, obviously, and you can go hiking, and there's hiking trails all over the place, and you can do bird watching and photography and things like that. So it's a nice place, Lake Hemet in the San Jacinto Mountains. It's part of the San Bernardino National Forest. This lake has actually been here since the dam was created in 1895, believe it or not. So this reservoir itself has been here since 1895, but they didn't open it for public use until, I believe, sometime in the 1930s. That's when they made the campground, and they put the little ranger station there, and they basically turned it into a recreational area. But the reservoir itself dates back to 1895, so that's a significant chunk of history. And the water is fairly clear. I've been up here sometimes where there's been quite a bit of algae in the water, but right now the water looks pretty pristine. You know, it's pretty clear. Even as you go out a little ways, you can still see the bottom, you know. So it's nice to see the lake in such good shape. We have some algae over here. So there's still some algae pools located in some of these nooks and crannies. But overall, the water's fairly clear. I'm actually impressed. And the lake is fairly full. You know, some years you come out here and the lake is way low, but you know, it's not quite at capacity, but the water level's still fairly high. So that's nice to see. You must be nuts. Okay, we actually walked over here about as far as you could walk to get to the edge of the lake out by the dam and the spillway. There's still some people over here fishing, so we don't have this area to ourselves, but just to give you a better look of where the dam is, the dam is right there in front, and you have the spillway right there. So at one point in time, that was the largest masonry dam in the world back in the early 1900s. The dam was actually completed in 1895, and at that particular time it was 122.5 feet. And then a few years later they lengthened it to 135 feet. And before the Roosevelt Dam was built in Arizona, the Lake Hemet Dam right here was the largest masonry dam in the world. So just a little factoid.